What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have why is U.S. pushing India toward Russia, China? Will RIC happen? I'm not sure exactly what RIC is, but I'm sure he'll tell me. I'm very intrigued at this question as well. Can't wait to hear what Abhijit Shabda has to say about it. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe or give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button and receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive right in.
Why is the United States pushing India into the other camp? If RIC happens, then the
Oh, Russia, India, China. My bad. I
combined
got
hard
it.
power in the economy would be nearly of 75 and 25 T. I'm assuming trillions or something. If I know it here, I'm sure the US must be aware of this, and then why? Okay. The US is see, what's the US doing vis-a-vis India? It's using, see, now you must have heard the news that the so-called Khalistani fake movement, it's even rearing its head in New Zealand. So there are five eyes nations. The United States is the boss, and then
Yeah.
there's the UK, there's Canada, there's Australia, and there's New Zealand. And we know that there's significant Khalistani activity in Canada. There is that in the UK. There is significant such activity, Khalistani activity in Australia. And now even New Zealand has been activated. So all the Five Eyes nations have been activated vis-a-vis this Khalistani thing. It's a pressure tactic.
Okay.
It's about arm twisting the government of India into being more amenable to the United States and aligning itself strongly, more strongly with the West,
The
let's say. Right now,
okay.
India is first pursuing an independent foreign policy. They would like us to toe their line and completely cut off relations with Russia and whatever with China and so on. So that's a pressure tactic. But what the US really wants vis-a-vis India is to slow down the growth of India's economy. India's economy is growing at a good rate.
Yeah.
And in 20,
Great
30 years,
rate.
India may well surpass China.
That's
Very possible,
crazy.
right? People are saying
Yeah.
India will surpass China. India will surpass the US by 2075. But the way things are going, India could be at the same rough level, or even perhaps even surpass China by 2050 or 2040 or wherever,
That's
whichever way you want
wild.
to calculate.
That's kind of wild to think about. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think the U.S. putting that pressure on India is pushing them into more of an alliance with Russia and China, or more of a stronger relationship with those two countries? Do you think India, that pressure will cause India to align more so with the West and more so with the United States over Russia? And I know India and China got their issues, and so I don't know how good of a relationship is there. But what do you guys think will happen? India's economy is doing absolutely amazing right now. The infrastructure going on. I can understand the U.S. wanting to slow it down because, as we all know, the U.S. wants to be the top dog forever and doesn't want any other country on their level. Um, so, yeah.
And that makes India a very major world power, a nuclear armed power, and all that, with a big demographic dividend and all that. That's a competitor, challenger, adversary for the US. That's how they see it. So they would like to slow down India's growth and ensure that India stays mired in mediocrity. So that's why they're doing all this, all that's happening of late, right? Since the Democrats came to power, 2020
Yeah.
onwards, essentially. Uh, Now, obviously, then the question arises: if you do that, if the Americans do this, then it kind of pushes India towards Russia and China even more, right? The point is this: Russia is the one nation the Americans genuinely fear because of its hard military power. China is an economic giant, the second largest economy.
Yeah.
Militarily, it is nowhere as capable as the US. If China were so militarily powerful and capable, why would they not take over Taiwan tomorrow? They can't even take over Taiwan, which is in their own
That's a
backyard. That's how
that's a
powerful
good
the
point.
US is. And India and China have these big problems, long lasting problems that whose roots go back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
And now there seems to be some kind of movement in that direction, rapprochement, etc. But you know, for RIC to happen, See, RI is already there. Russia, India, good relations.
Yes,
RC is
agreed.
also there. Russia,
Agreed.
China, good relations. But IC isn't there. India, China,
Yeah, that's
right?
gonna
We
be
know
very
that.
difficult to
For
get that
RIC
one.
to happen, India and China have to resolve their issues. Now tell me, how do we resolve the issues? What's the core issue in India, China? The undemarcated border between India and India, the
Yeah.
India-Tibet border, undemarcated. The Chinese have steadfastly refused to demarcate the border. Now let's say there is, let's say hypothetically, there is willingness from the Chinese side to demarcate the border. Let's say, okay,
Oh.
hypothetically. But what is a fair demarcation of the border? You think a nation that's 4 times more powerful than India will give back Aksai Chin and give up its claim on Arunachal?
No.
Won't happen.
No.
Won't happen. They will lose face
Exactly.
terribly if they do that. It'll be like a complete capitulation.
Yeah.
So, a fair,
So yeah, I don't think they'd be willing to sacrifice that. It would have to be China getting the better end of the deal, and then I don't think India would allow that as well. So, like you said, RC and RI are locked in with good relations already, but IC, it's just there's gonna have to be a lot that happens, and China, I don't see China bending or folding. I definitely don't see India bending or folding. So I don't know if that IC would ever come together. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's possible at all?
realistic resolution of the boundary dispute. Okay, realistic, non-sentimental resolution is they keep Aksai Chin and we keep Arunachal, and whatever boundary currently exists, we freeze it there, and that becomes the international border.
Okay.
But China can do it. They are a dictatorship. They are an autocracy, one party state. Can India do it? Any Indian prime minister who agrees to give up India's claim on Aksai Chin is going to lose the next election. That's a guarantee. The Indian people are hyper sentimental, hyper, what's the term? Yeah, they're hyper emotional, right?
Yeah.
Indians are an extremely emotional people. They don't see things practically, realistically. They see things through emotions. Very superficial way of looking at things. That's the
Okay.
majority of the Indian population. So if an Indian prime minister agrees to that sort of an arrangement, he is going to lose the next election. So then the core issue between India and China cannot be resolved, even if there's willingness on both sides. So then, can RC happen? I mean, IC happen? India and China get along. As long as the border is not demarcated, there's gonna be tensions on the border.
Yeah.
You can have some kind of modus vivendi that we will go easy on the patrolling and all, but that issue is the core of everything.
Yeah.
And then there's this gigantic trade imbalance between India and China. So RIC is currently kind of a pipe dream. Mr. Putin desperately wants RIC to happen. I can assure you that I'm pretty certain that he must have been a major driving factor behind the current the thought that we are witnessing between India and China, but it's far from normal relations.
Yeah.
So the Americans know this. They know this, and they would have factored all this into their calculations. So RIC is far from happening. We could have some kind of modus vivendi between India and China, but then there's a huge imbalance, trade imbalance that we would like to see redressed. And obviously the border issues is the core of everything. The Chinese would like us to see past the border issue, but we can't. So there we have it.
Facts.
It's easier said than done, RIC. And look, RIC becomes a dangerous factor for the US only if there is a military alliance. An economic alliance is nothing. The Americans control the world's economy. They control the US dollar. They own the US dollar. The economic alliance is nothing. The real factor that matters in geopolitics is your hard military power and your power projection abilities. India,
And-
Russia, China, you combine them together, what power projection abilities do we have? The Americans, they can project power all across the globe. They can intervene militarily essentially anywhere on the globe at 60 minutes notice. Can India do that? Can
That's
Russia do that?
crazy.
Can China do that? Absolutely not. So as long as the competition is economic, even if RIC happens economically, it's not a big deal for the US.
Yeah.
I mean, they will have ways and means to deal with that. The real danger is a military alliance between RIC, and that is not going to happen anytime in the foreseeable future. So that's the answer.
Yeah. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I completely agree with him. I just don't see it happening. It's there's gonna have to be a lot of controversy solved between India and China. And then you got to think in this military alliance. In any alliance, I feel like there always has to be a leader, and who's going to lead and who's going to follow. And it's just it's a lot. I think it's too much for these two countries to come together, India and China, to come together and resolve everything. The U.S. I mean, I don't know 100% about economics and everything, so I'll just take his word that the U.S. I guess wouldn't be as worried economically, but military, like, geez, yeah, that military would be absolutely humongous. It'd be gigantic, but I didn't think it's true. The power of the U.S. to be able to militarily intervene around the globe in 60 minutes is actually really crazy when you think about it. But that's all we have for this video. Y'all let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. I'll see y'all next time.